Calisthenics. Regarding Saint Nicephorus. Saint Nicephorus was born in Constantinople about the year 758 of pious parents. His father Theodore endured exile and tribulation for the holy icons during the reign of Constantine Copronymus. Nicephorus served in the imperial palace as a secretary. Later he took up the monastic life and struggled in asceticism not far from the imperial city. He also founded monasteries on the eastern shore of the Bosphorus, among them one dedicated to the great martyr Theodore. After the repose of the holy Patriarch Tarasius, he was ordained Patriarch on April 12, 806, and in this high office led the Orthodox resistance to the iconoclast war on piety, which was stirred up by Leo the Armenian. Because Nicephorus championed the veneration of the icons, Leo drove Nicephorus from his throne on March 13, 815, exiling him from one place to another, and lastly to the monastery of St. Theodore, which Nicephorus himself had founded. It was here that after glorifying God for 9 years as Patriarch, and then 13 years as an exile, tormented and afflicted, he gave up his blameless soul in 828 at about the age of 70. O model of faith and the image of gentleness, the example of your life has shown you forth to your sheepfold to be a master of temperance. You obtain thus through being lowly gifts from on high, and riches through poverty. Nicephorus, our Father and Priest of priests, intercede with Christ our God, that he may save our souls. The readings are according to the week. From Acts of the Apostles. In those days, when it was decided that we should sail for Italy, they delivered Paul and some other prisoners to a centurion of the Augustan cohort named Julius, and embarking in a ship of Adramyttium, which was about to sail to the ports along the coast of Asia, we put to sea, accompanied by Aristarchus of Macedonia from Thessalonica. The next day we put in at Sidon, and Julius treated Paul kindly, and gave him leave to go to his friends and be cared for. And putting to sea from there, we sailed under the lee of Cyprus, because the winds were against us. Now, it must be understood that St. Paul is receiving this courtesy because he is a Roman citizen. And when we had sailed across the sea, which is off of Sicilia and Pamphylia, we came to Myra in Lycia. There the centurion found a ship of Alexandria sailing for Italy, and put us on board. We sailed slowly for a number of days, and arrived with difficulty off Cnidos, and as the wind did not allow us to go on, we sailed under the lee of Crete, off Salmone. Coasting along it with difficulty, we came to a place called Fair Havens, near which was the city of Lasea. As much time had been lost, and the voyage was already dangerous because the fast had already gone by, Paul advised them, saying, Sirs, I perceive that the voyage will be with injury and much loss, not only of the cargo and the ship, but also of our lives. But the centurion paid more attention to the captain and to the owner of the ship than to what Paul said. And because the harbor was not suitable to winter in, the majority advised to put out to sea from there, on the chance that somehow they could reach Phoenix, a harbor of Crete, looking northeast and southeast, and winter there. And when the south wind blew gently, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, they weighed anchor and sailed along Crete, close inshore. But soon a tempestuous wind, called the northeaster, struck down from the land, and when the ship was caught and could not face the wind, we gave way to it, and were running under the lee of a small island called Cauda, we managed with difficulty to secure the boat. After hoisting it up, they took measures to undergird the ship. Then, fearing that they should run on the Sisters, they lowered the gear, and so next day to throw cargo overboard, and the third day they cast with their own hands the tackle of the ship. And when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope of our being saved was at last abandoned. As they had been long without food, Paul then came forward among them and said, Men, you should have listened to me, and should not have set sail from Crete and incurred this injury and loss. I now bid you take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night there stood by me an angel of God, to whom I belong, and whom I worship, and he said, Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar. And lo, God has granted you all those who sailed with you. So take heart, men, for I have faith in God that it will be exactly as I have been told. but we shall have to run on some island. So in other words, because St. Paul is going to accomplish the work of Christ and that he will appear before Caesar in Rome and preach to the Romans there, nothing is going to befall Paul, and so they must follow him. When the 14th night had come, as we were drifting across the Sea of Adria, about midnight the sailors suspected that they were nearing land. So they sounded and found 20 fathoms. A little farther on they sounded again and found 15 fathoms. And fearing that we might run on the rocks, they let out 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for the day to come. And as the sailors were seeking to escape from the ship, and had lowered the boat into the sea, under the pretense of laying out anchors from the bow, Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, "Unless these men stay in the ship, you cannot be saved." Then the soldiers cut away the ropes of the boat and let it go. As day was about to dawn, Paul urged them all to take some food, saying, "Today is the 14th day that you have continued in suspense and without food, having taken nothing. Therefore I urge you to take some food. It will give you strength, since not a hair is to perish from the head of any of you." And when he had said this, he took bread, giving thanks to God in the presence, he broke it and began to eat. So in other words, St. Paul is doing liturgy. This is Eucharistic. Then they were all encouraged and ate some food themselves. We were all in 276 persons in the ship, and when they had eaten enough, they lightened the ship, throwing out the wheat into the sea. Now when it was day, they did not recognize the land, but they noticed a bay with a beach, on which they planned, if possible, to bring the ship ashore. So they cast off the anchors and left them in the sea, at the same time loosening the ropes that tied the rudders. Then hoisting the foresail to the wind, they made for the beach. But striking a shoal, they ran the vessel aground. The bow stuck and remained immovable, and the stern was broken by the turf. The soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners, lest any should swim away and escape, but the centurion, wishing to save Paul, kept them from carrying out their purpose. He ordered those who could swim to throw themselves overboard first and make for the land, and the rest on planks or on pieces of the ship, and so it was that all escaped to land. After we had escaped, we then learned that the island was called Malta. The reading is from the Gospel according to St. John. At that time Jesus lifted up his eyes to heaven and said, "As you, Father, did send me into the world, so I have sent them into the world, and for their sake I consecrate myself, that they also may be consecrated in truth. I do not pray for these only, but also for those who believe in me through their word, that they all may be one." So in other words, Christ first prayed for the church, and now he's praying for those who will hear from the church and join the church. "Even as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory which you have given me I have given to them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you have sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me, Father. Father, I desire that they also, whom you have given me, may be with me where I am, to behold my glory which you have given me in your love for me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, the world has not known you, but I have known you, and these know that you have sent me. I made known to them your name, and I will make it known, that the love with which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. So this love, this selfless love that Christ is asking, is the love that he has with the Father and the Holy Spirit, and he's asking that we also have it for each other. I hope that you've enjoyed today's Spiritual Calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.